Today is day 4 of my 7-day water only fast. And today I feel like I've been sold a bill of goods, because I have always heard that on day 4 you start to feel amazing, and I do not feel amazing. I don't feel as bad as I did yesterday, but I do not feel in any way, shape, or form amazing. You're supposed to get this like mental clarity and like surge of energy, and like you could face the world, and then you could save the world, right? But then if you use your energy, then you're like, whoa, that energy didn't last long. But no, I haven't had any of that at all. After I recorded and edited my video yesterday, this is how I spent the next several hours. I was sacked out. Not really, I wasn't asleep, but I was like in the lazy girl chair. We call it the lazy girl because our dog Gracie loves to lay there, and she is such a lazy girl when she's laying there. I did check my blood sugar yesterday and it was at 53. My understanding is that is kind of par for the course. 53 is on the lower side, but still manageable during a fast. And I think that what I understand is the reason for that is because blood sugar comes from the sugar that's in your blood, and your glycogen stores, which are completely depleted by day 4, they're gone. So there's no blood like being pulled from your stored sugar to fuel you. And then your body switches over to the ketones, and the ketones use fat instead of sugar to give you fuel. And so my understanding is that as the blood sugar starts to drop, the ketone levels go up. Well, unfortunately, I don't have a ketone meter to verify that in my case, but I'm pretty sure that is what is going on. I still feel kind of like I have the flu, not with the like sore throat, headache, achy, awful, like fevery feeling or chills, but I definitely have the like, I just kind of like don't want to really be active doing anything. And the other thing that I'm experiencing today is a little bit of back, like tired soreness in my lower back, which was on the list of things that I identified on day 1 to be possible symptoms. And it's kind of a tired, like you want to stretch it, like you go, oh, as you stretch it. But it's like, it feels like it needs to be stretched, and you get up and you're like, oh yeah, but not like back pain for somebody who has like an injury. So I have a little bit of that today. The nausea that I had yesterday, from the night 2 going to sleep to day 3 waking up, I had nausea really badly and was very glad I did not throw up, because that would have been a hard stop on this fast. I didn't have that again last night. I don't really have it now, but I can't really exactly say that I don't feel a little tiny bit like the beginnings of feeling nauseated. And then sometimes as I'm, sitting and, doing whatever it is I'm doing, I'll have like a little wave of like, ugh, for like a minute, and then it goes away. But it's not really bad. The other thing that I've been experiencing a little bit here and there is a little bit of acid reflux. That I was not expecting because there's nothing in my stomach to like kind of push up. And I haven't been having any oil, which is a huge part of when people do have like heartburn. They will like the oil causes the sphincter muscle that is in between, that kind of stops the acid from coming up. It kind of loosens when you have a lot of oil. So I was a little bit surprised by that, but it's not major. The other thing is here and there I had like like I like a hiccup, but I don't have the hiccups. So that's another strange side effect that I kind of wasn't expecting. But my sleep last night, I wouldn't call it insomnia, which is a side effect of fasting. I would say that I just didn't get restorative sleep, because every time, it seems, I'm pretty sure every single time I turned over to adjust myself in my sleeping, I woke up. Now, I went back to sleep right away, but I did wake up. So that stops you from being able to get into the different sleep levels that you need to get into to be well restored. But when I got up this morning, it was much better than yesterday. Yesterday, I could barely get myself to stay standing in the shower. Whereas this morning, it was a little bit better. I did still experience where I needed to turn the hot water down just a little bit. Like, it was a little bit too warm for me, so I needed to turn that down a bit. And then what I've been doing for the last few weeks, and what my cohort cameraman on this channel has been doing for several months, is turning the water to cold for about the last minute of being in the shower. And I actually find that it's not quite cold enough for me at that point, because I'm already warmed up. And this time of year, it's June right now in Southern California, the water's not quite cold enough for me to feel like, woo, you know, I get a little bit of goosebumps, but it's not like, you know. But he says if you get into the shower without having had it warm first and it's cold, he's like, it's cold. So I don't think I'm ready to go there yet. My scale told me this morning that I was 167.7 pounds. That's almost 2 full pounds down from yesterday's amount, and a total of almost 4.5 pounds the first 4 days of the fast. I'm hoping that what I'm losing now is visceral fat, because I shouldn't have any glycogen stores left, and I'm already in somewhat of a dehydrated state from doing the fast at all, which is just par for the course. It just happens. But you know, we'll see what it all turns out to be at the end, what I lose this week, and then how much I put back on once I build up my glycogen stores, get my water reestablished in my system next week. I have been promising you all this week that I was going to tell you about the modifications that I have made for this fast in my personal hygiene care, so to speak. I'm still not feeling amazing, but I don't want to drag you on any longer. So that is why I have my little bit of goodies over here to share with you. During fasting, it is very important to reduce or limit the amount of toxins that you come in contact with as much as you can. Obviously, you can't stop coming in contact with everything. There are toxins everywhere. Your furniture radiates toxins, right? But there are some things that we can do to lessen the exposure that we have, and specifically what we're putting on our biggest organ, which is our skin. And so some of these changes I actually made quite a while ago, some of them 2 years ago, and others are for this week only. Really, there's really only one that is very specific to this week only, and I'm sure you will identify with that when I get there. The first thing that went is probably one of the 2 most controversial things that I have listed. And this was a change that I made, well, the cameraman made exactly 24 months ago. I did it 22 months ago, and we have not looked back since then. We stopped using shampoo and conditioner. I know that sounds terrible, but we did. And I bet you couldn't tell. My hair is curly, so it's a little bit naturally, like, you know, frizzier, so to speak, to begin with. But if I could get it to ringlet curl, you would see it's not at all. It's very soft and very hydrated. So when you stop using shampoo, what happens is that your head will adjust in about a week from not using the shampoo and conditioner. Because what happens when you use shampoo is you're drying out your scalp and your hair, and then you're using conditioner to try and rehydrate your scalp and hair again. This seems really silly to me, but that is what happens. And when you stop using shampoo, any of you ladies who have really long hair know that you don't wash it every day. And after about 3 days or so, you're like, ooh, I have to wash it. Because if you go on 4, 5, 6 days, you're gonna notice your hair is gonna start to separate from all the oil. And then if you try to put it up, then it hurts because it's like the oil is on there and you're trying to bend your hair in a different way than what it was used to. So you would think that that is what happens when you stop washing your hair, because you're thinking, oh, my hair is dirty. This is why I need to wash it. The truth is, after about 4 or 5 days of your scalp's secreting extra oil, it stops. It completely stops. You don't have that anymore. If you happen to be someone who has a little bit more of an oily situation going on just naturally, cameraman has that. His hair is more oily than mine. He just has to make sure that it gets rinsed out at each and every single morning. Whereas I could still go a few days and I probably wouldn't even notice any changes. But yeah, shampoo and conditioner, we've taken it off the list. We don't use it. I don't even comb my hair. Not true. I comb my hair in the shower. So I have a wide tooth comb, because if I don't use a wide tooth comb, it really makes my hair like, and I don't put a lot of effort. I don't put any effort into my hair, but I don't want it to look terrible. So I use a wide tooth comb, and as the water, you know, I kind of rinse it out, and as the water's going down, I comb my head to kind of exfoliate the scalp and make sure that it gets stimulated, which, you know, you would normally do when you're scrubbing with your shampoo. The second switch we made 2 years ago was we switched from using body wash to a bar of peppermint Castile soap. Now, the peppermint part is not important. We just like the smell of it, and truth be told, when you first use it, it's kind of cold on you, and it's kind of a neat sensation. So we just use the peppermint. You can get it anywhere, pretty much anywhere, but we get it in a big pack. I think it's Dr. Teal's at Costco, and unfortunately I am out, so I can't show you that one. But you can get it at Costco too. I think it's Dr. Bronner's at Costco. It's about $5 a bar. It lasts about 6 weeks per person, which, truth be told, is probably longer than that $9, $12, $15 body wash that you're buying. Now, I know that a lot of the reason people like to use the body wash is because of how fragrant and smelly it is and how it just makes you smell so good. And I don't disagree with that. However, those fragrances are part of the problem. In order to get all those fragrances in there, they have to add a whole bunch of chemicals to make that happen, in addition to all of the chemicals that go into it anyway. Pure Castile soap is very natural. It's great for sensitive skin, which I have, and it gets the job done. And while you don't smell great, so to speak, after you get out of your shower and go about your day, you don't smell bad either. And that truly is all we really need to be doing, because nobody really cares if you smell good. They don't even notice if you don't smell good. But they do notice if you smell bad, and we definitely don't want to be perpetuating that, so Castile soap is the way that we have gone. The other item that I make with Castile soap is hand soap. I use a liquid, I happen to have some of this left, a liquid Castile soap that I get at Target. And all I do is I have this foaming container, this foaming hand washing pumpy deal. I'm sure everybody has them. I know, ladies, your Bath and Body Works, you've got these hanging around your house. They'll probably be a lot prettier too. But this I got from my mother-in-law a couple of years ago. It's a liquid dial one. I didn't even buy it. We're cheap around here. So she gave me this. And so what I do is I put about maybe a quarter of the bottle of the liquid Castile soap, fill it up to almost the top with water, shake, 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 and pump, pump, foam. Gets the job amazingly well. Gets the job done amazingly well. The first thing I tried to do was make, what is that? Laundry detergent. And I also used to make dishwashing detergent, like, you know, like you're gonna wash it by hand. But the laundry detergent worked great, but unfortunately it was kind of cumbersome to make, and it would like jelly up, and I couldn't figure out a really good way to work with it, and it became more of a pain in the butt than it was that I felt like it was worth. So I stopped doing that, and then I just, same for a similar reason, not the jelly part, but just having to make it and all that. Like, I stopped using the dish soap. I just figured if I don't want to have the chemicals on my hand for dish soap, I'll use gloves. The other extremely controversial thing that we have stopped, cameraman stopped doing it about a year ago, and I go back and forth with it. Like, I will go months where I do it and months where I don't, is using toothpaste. Now, this week during the fast, you definitely do not want to be using toothpaste. There are a lot of chemicals and fluoride, which is extremely controversial as well, but I don't think it's very good for us, in it, and you don't want all that extra going back in your body. And think of it, your toothpaste is sweet, so there's some sweetness that you would be putting into your mouth, and in your mouth is where digestion largely starts. So you definitely don't want to be using toothpaste this week, and using water is just fine. It gets all the stuff off your teeth. You use floss. I was able to find in my little stash of flosses one little travel item of unwaxed, not mint dental floss. And again, that was the only thing I was really concerned about, was the mint is sweet. So what's on there? So I have that this week as well. All of our dental visits have been perfectly fine. We're doing just fine without using toothpaste. And in fact, cameraman will tell you he uses just water, and he brushes his teeth like 3 times a day now, where it was like a slog for him to get himself to even brush once a day when he was using toothpaste. And bad breath comes from a really icky tongue that's not brushed. So you should be brushing your tongue or using a scraper. Cameraman uses a scraper. I use the toothbrush. That and not taking care of your teeth at all. These are the places that are a problem. I personally go back and forth with the toothpaste. He does not. So this week, toothpaste is definitely a no-go. Water break. One thing I tried changing a couple of years ago was my facial moisturizer. I looked at the ingredient list on the back of my moisturizer, which this is what I have historically used for the last number of years, and determined that there were 33 ingredients in this bottle, including sunscreen, which there's 4 ingredients that are part of the sunscreen. I'm kind of getting into the idea that sunscreen ain't so good for us, and so I definitely don't want that on my skin. But even if you took the sunscreen out, there's 29 ingredients left in there What are they doing on my skin? All chemicals. So a couple years ago, I tried to use coconut oil. Now I have a skin that's a little on the drier side and very sensitive. So when I used the coconut oil, unfortunately, it didn't hydrate my skin because it didn't really sink in all the way. It was a little bit greasy, but it really wasn't that bad. So I didn't, I wasn't really worried about that. But it after, I don't know, a good 6 weeks, 2 months, I looked at myself, really looked at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, my skin looks dried out, and I was seeing like lines and wrinkles that are not normally there, and so I switched back to my moisturizer. But for this week, for sure, I knew that I needed to come up with an alternative because I'm not putting 33 ingredients of chemical crap on my face if I can get around it. So what I did is I searched the internet and found that I could use shea butter and sweet almond oil, mix them together and make a moisturizer. And it took forever to get here, this little guy here. They kept putting it off. Even though I got these both on Amazon, this was almost 2 weeks late and showed up literally hours before I needed to be able to use it. So I made it Sunday night. I started this fast on a Monday morning. I made it Sunday night. I put together the two ingredients. But the first thing I did, I digress. Let me move back. I put, it's a 1 to half ratio, I guess you would call it. However much of the shea butter you use about half of the almond oil. And I just put it in a bowl, put it in the microwave, and heated it up at 10-second intervals until it started to get warm enough to melt down. It only took, I think, about 25 seconds because I did do a 5-second interval after the first two. And then I took the sweet almond oil and just put it in there and literally just mixed it up in the bowl, tossed it into this little container, and then just, you can put it in the fridge or you can just leave it out on your counter till the next day. It'll come to room temperature. And then it becomes a very loose, like it's oily, and you can put it on yourself. And at first it feels a little bit like tacky. And it takes a few minutes and you'll see that it's like on your face, it'll be kind of shiny. But after about 5-10 minutes, it completely hydrates your skin and sinks down in, and I don't feel it at all. It feels completely dry. I'm not having any problems with it whatsoever. And I have to tell you that honestly, I was a little concerned because I do have sensitive skin that I might have some adverse reaction to it and didn't have any time to test it out before the fast. And I love it. I don't think that I will go back to that. The one thing that I don't love is the smell. Now, wouldn't you think that sweet almond oil would smell like almond? It doesn't. They both almost smell exactly the same, and it's got a smell that is not particularly pleasant, but you do get used to it really quickly, and it doesn't maintain all throughout the day. You don't really notice it. So that is an option for you instead of regular moisturizer. This is what I did. I do always use the Aveeno Daily Moisturizing Lotion that is fragrance-free that I can get at Costco. I love it. It's cheaper at Costco. It's in these huge bottles. It comes 2 to a pack, and about every 6 weeks it goes on sale for like $4 less or something. So that's a huge savings. So this is what I use. It only has 10 ingredients versus the 33 that's in the moisturizer. So I'm okay with this, and so I'm continuing to use this. The last thing that is a like normal hygiene care that I am doing only for this week is no deodorant. Which is a little bit of a, at first when you first don't have the deodorant on, you feel like, oh, it's sticky. But you kind of get over that. Yeah, you don't even notice it by day 2. But deodorant has a lot of chemicals in it. And especially if you've just shaved, there's some information out there that says that maybe when you apply deodorant just after you shave, it could cause the chemicals to get in worse and may have a link to breast cancer. You know, I'm not entirely sure, but it's not really great for us. So yeah, no deodorant this week. Luckily, it's not crazy hot yet, so I'm not massively sweating and I don't smell terrible. Nobody else can smell me. Every once in a while I can, but it is what it is. Like, I don't love the taste in my mouth either. So, you know, these are just some things you just experience, and if you're gonna do this right, you don't want to use deodorant. The last thing that I do that is not necessarily typical of what you would think of as personal hygiene is, I referenced this book a couple of days ago on day 1, that this is what I have used over the years of doing any sort of fasting or detox before. The 7-day detox miracle is not 7 days of water. In fact, their version of water even includes a lemon. We don't do that here, not anymore. Water only. But one of the things that I found in this book that was really a practice that I thought was easy, and there seems to be no downside to it, and I don't know if it works or if it does not, but it's quite enjoyable when I do it, and that is dry skin brushing. According to this book, dry skin brushing is an old natural healing method used to increase blood and lymphatic circulation. Stimulating skin improves circulation, a benefit for every organ of the body. And of course, skin is the largest organ of the body. So what I use is a natural bristled brush, which is what they say to use. This is 100% horsehair. They say to use a stiff bristle. I don't know if this would count as a stiff bristle, but this is what I use. And basically what you do is you start at your feet and you work your way up, always swiping towards the heart. And so basically when you get to your arms, it looks something like this. You just want to make sure you get all the way around. It's a nice little scratchy. It does exfoliate your skin, so you want to do this, you know, prior to getting into the shower. And then you want to get your back, you know, as much as you can, go up, you know, and everything that you can get, even your face. Like it feels nice on the face, right? You do this before you get into the shower. And then when you shower, all of the little exfoliated bits of skin come off, and it feels nice, and I'm sure it does increase circulation. So I do that as well. So that is my spiel on personal hygiene products. See you next time.